Hey y'all, what's up, man? This is your boy, y'all's chosen one. We are going to continue in the great book of, we're going to continue in Jasher, and this is in reference to chapter 11 of the book of Genesis. We're going to start off in Jasher in chapter 8, and we're on verse 41. All right, chapter 8, verse 41. And he placed Terah, the son of Nahor, the prince of his host, and he dignified him and elevated him above all his princes. And whilst he was reigning according to his heart desire, after having conquered all the enemies, he's talking about Nimrod, he advised with his counselors to build a city for his palace, and they did so. So that was Genesis 11, verse 24. You know what I'm saying? We find out who Terah and Nahor is. So we're going to skip down to verse 50 in chapter, I'm sorry, it was chapter 7, verse 41 and 42. Now we're on chapter 7, verse 50 to 51. And Terah took a wife, and her name was Amthelo, the daughter of Cornebo, and the wife of Terah conceived and bare him a son in those days. Verse 51. Terah was 70 years old when he begot him, and Terah called the name of his son that was born to him Abram, because the king had raised him in those days and dignified him above all his princes that were with him. So we see that Terah, his wife's name was Amthelo. When we read this in Genesis 11, verse 26, and they were them begot Terah, okay, and it says that in Genesis 11, verse 26. Now, from Genesis 11 to chapter 12, it states a lot here. It states a whole lot. And I'm going to read the story of Jasher to you because it tells you a whole lot that's going on. So let me go ahead and read this to you and let you know what's going on here, okay? All right. So this is Jasher chapter 8. And it was in the night that Abram was born that all the servants of Terah and all the wise men of Nimrod and his conjurers came and ate and drank in the house of Terah, and they rejoiced with him on that night. And when all the wise men and conjurers went out from the house of Terah, they lifted up their eyes toward heaven that night to look at the stars, and they saw, and behold, one very large star came from the east and ran in the heavens, and he swallowed up the four stars from the four sides of the heavens. It's a very strange sight that's going up here. And obviously, these people were very skilled in the art of astrology. So they knew something about astrology. And all the wise men of the king and his conjurers were astonished at the sight. And the sages understood this matter, and they knew its import. See, there's nothing wrong with astronomy, with astrology, but when you start, I guess that would be astronomy. I'm trying to figure out the difference, but when you start using it for conjurings and things like that, for welcoming demons and things like that, then that's a whole different ballpark right there. All right. And they said to each other, this only betokens the child that has been born to Terah this night, who will grow up and be fruitful and multiply and possess all the earth, he and his children forever, and he and his seed will slay great kings and inherit their lands. And the wise men and conjurers went home that night, and in the morning all those wise men and conjurers rose up early and assembled in an appointed house. So Terah had bore Abram, and these sages had this, I guess it's a divination, or this, these astrological signs that Abraham was one day going to be the king. So I guess they're going to debate whether, see what's going to happen. And they spoke and said to each other, behold, the sight that we saw last night is hidden from the king. It has not been made known to him. And should this thing get known to the king in the latter days, he will say to us, why have you concealed this matter from me? And then we shall all suffer death. Therefore now let us go and tell the king the sight which we saw, and the interpretation thereof, and we shall then remain clear. So in order for them not to get their head cut off, they needed to tell Nimrod, what was going on. So, because they didn't want, to hide anything from the king, because obviously it's off with your head, if the king found out. And they did so, and they all went to the king and bowed down to him to the ground. They said, "May the king live. May the king live. We heard that a son was born to Terah, the son of Nahor, the prince of thy hosts. And we yesternight came to his house, and we ate and drank and rejoiced with him that night." It was eating, drinking, and being merry. And when thy servants went out from the house of Terah to go to our respective homes to abide there for the night, we lifted up our eyes to heaven, and we saw a great star coming from the east, and the same star ran with great speed and swallowed up the 4 great stars from the 4 sides of the heavens. And thy servants were astonished at the sight which we saw, and we were greatly terrified, and we made our judgment upon the sight, and knew by our wisdom the proper interpretation thereof, that this thing applies to the child that is born to Terah, who will grow up and multiply greatly and become powerful, and kill all the kings of the earth, and inherit all their lands, he and his seed forever. The seed of Abraham, he is the father. And now our Lord and King, behold, we have truly acquainted thee with what we have seen concerning this child. If it seemeth good to the king to give his father value for this child, we will slay him before he shall grow up and increase in the land, and this evil increase against us, that we and our children perish through this evil. And the king heard their words, and they seemed good in his sight. And he sent and called for Terah, and Terah came before the king. So this is King Nimrod. And, so now Terah's in a situation right now where, these sages of Nimrod heard, saw this sight in the heavens, and now for Nimrod's kingship to continue, they need to kill this boy, Abram, who later becomes Abraham. So evidently we know he lives. And the king heard their words, and they seemed good to say, and he said, okay. And the king said to Terah, I have been told that a son was yesterday born to thee, and after this manner was observed in the heavens at his birth. And now therefore give me the child, that we may slay him before his evil springs upon against us. And I will give thee for his value thy house full of silver and gold. And Terah answered the king and said to him, My lord and king, I have heard thy words, and thy servant shall do all that his king desireth. But my lord and king, I will tell thee what happened to me yesternight, that I may see what advice the king will give his servant. And then I will answer the king upon what he has just spoken. And the king said, Speak. And Terah said to the king, Ayon, son of Morad, came to me yesternight, saying, Give unto me the great and beautiful horse that the king gave thee, and I will give thee silver and gold, and straw and provender for its value. And I said to him, Wait till I see the king concerning thy words, and behold, whatever the king saith, that will I do. And now, my lord and king, behold, I have made this thing known to thee, and the advice which my king will give unto his servant, that will I follow. And the king heard the words of Terah, and his anger was kindled, and he considered him in the light of a fool. So he was thinking Terah was trying to make him out to be a fool. Like, who comes up with a goofy story like this? And now you trying to play the king. Let's see what happens. And the king answered Terah, and he said unto him, Art thou so silly, ignorant, or deficient in understanding to do this thing, to give thy beautiful horse for silver and gold, or even for straw and provender? Art thou so short of silver and gold that thou shouldest do this thing? because thou canst not obtain strong provender to feed thy horse? And what is silver and gold to thee, or strong provender, that thou shouldst give away that fine horse which I gave thee, like which there is none to be had on the whole earth? And the king left off speaking, and Terah answered the king, saying, Like unto this has the king spoken to his servant. I beseech thee, my lord and king, what is this which thou didst say unto me, saying, Give thy son that we may slay him, and I will give thee silver and gold for his value. What shall I do with silver and gold after the death of my son? Who shall inherit me? Surely then at my death the silver and gold return to my king who gave it. Yeah, straight up, Terah. Like what good? I can't take this to my grave. You know what I'm saying? What good is this gonna do me, man? I'm trying to have somebody to, you know, follow behind me, man. Somebody to inherit what I have, and you trying to kill him away. And when the king heard the words of Terah and the parable which he brought concerning the king, it grieved him greatly, and he was vexed at this thing, and his anger burned within him. He was a king. He's supposed to be a righteous king. He knew what Terah was saying was true. And Terah saw that the anger of the king was kindled against him, and he answered the king, saying, All that I have is in the king's power. Whatever the king desires to do it to his servant, that let him do, yea, even my son. He is the king, he is in the king's power. Without value and exchange, he and his two brothers that are older than he. And the king said to Terah, No, but I will purchase the younger son for a price. And Terah answered the king, saying, I beseech thee, my lord and king, to let thy servant speak a word before thee, and let the king hear the word of his servant. And Terah said, Let my king give me 3 days' time, till I consider this matter within myself, and consult with my family concerning the words of my king. And he pressed the king greatly to agree to this. And the king hearkened to Terah, and he did so, and he gave him 3 days' time. And Terah went out from the king's presence, and he came home to the family and spoke to them all the words of the king, and the people were greatly afraid. And it was in the 3rd day that the king sent to Terah, saying, Send me thy son for a price, as I spoke to thee, and shouldest thou not do this, I will send and slay all that hast in thy house, so that thou shalt not even have a dog remain. So Nimrod was wicked, man. This dude was going to slay everybody in the house if he didn't bring Abram. He was going to slay everybody in that house. And Terah hastened, as the thing was urgent from the king. And he took a child from one of his servants, which his handmaid had borne to him that day. And Terah brought the child to the king and received value for him. So Terah, the king had all the power, but, he didn't know which one of those sons was Abram. So he tricked the king. So we're going to think he tricked the king right here. And Yah was with Terah in this matter, that Nimrod might not cause Abram's death. And the king took the child from Terah, and with all his might dashed his head to the ground, for he thought it had been Abram. And this was concealed from him from that day, and it was forgotten by the king, as it was the will of providence not to suffer Abram's death. Look at that. Nimrod was a mighty man. He took this boy with all his might, dashed his head to the ground, man. How wicked is that, man? And Terah took Abram his son secretly, together with his mother and nurse, and he concealed them in a cave. And he brought them their provisions monthly. And Yah was with Abram in the cave, and he grew up. And Abram was in the cave 10 years. And the king and his princes, soothsayers, and sages thought that the king had killed Abram. That's awesome. See how Yah works? I'm going to continue reading. Here. Shouldn't be much more. Yeah, actually, this is a very good story right here, man. Very good story. All right. So here we go. Yeah. Oh, good story here. All right, where was I at? All right, so chapter 9 in the great book of Jasher. We're going to chapter 9 the book of Jasher here. Okay. And Haran, the son of Terah, Abram's oldest brother, took a wife in those days. Haran was 39 years old when he took her, and the wife of Haran conceived and bare a son, and he called his name Lot. That's in Genesis 11, verse 27. So that would be Abram's nephew. And Haran, the son of Terah, Abram's oldest brother, took a wife in those days. Yeah, that's Lot is Abram's nephew. And she conceived again and bare a daughter, and she called her name Milcah. And she again conceived and bare a daughter, and she called her name Sarah, who becomes Sarah. That's in Genesis 11, verse 29. Haran was 42 years old when he begot Sarah, which was in the 10th year of the life of Abram. And in those days Abram and his mother and nurse went out from the cave, as the king and his subjects had forgotten the affair of Abram. So they had forgot everything. They thought, they had killed Abram, and they didn't think anything of it anymore. And when Abram came out from the cave, he went to Noah and his son Shem, and he remained with them to learn the instructions of Yah and his ways, and no man knew where Abram was. And Abram served Noah and Shem his son for a long time. And Abram was in Noah's house 39 years, and Abram knew Yah from 3 years old, and he went in the ways of Yah until the day of his death, as Noah and his son Shem had taught him. And all the sons of the earth in those days greatly transgressed against Yah, and they rebelled against him, and they served other gods. Here they go again. And they forgot Yah, who had created them in the earth, and the inhabitants of the earth made unto themselves at that time every man his God. Now, how did they learn these gods? Remember, those fallen Malachim, so that's who they was really serving. They started making images of these fallen Malachim who had came down. They started serving these gods. And they forgot Yah, who had created them on the earth. So there's no question who was your creator on the earth. You wasn't from evolution. You were created by Yah. And the inhabitants of the earth made unto themselves at that time every man his god, gods of wood, stone, which could neither speak, hear, nor deliver. And the sons of men served them, and they became their gods. And that's what you do today. You serve gods of wood and stone. You're doing the same thing that they did in Noah's time. You know what I'm saying? Where you got these images of Christ up, whether you got these images of Jesus up, whether you got, these charms, these talismans of whether you got all this stuff, man. This is some form of deity worship that you're doing. And the Most High told you don't make any images of anything, man. There is no likeness of Yah, but people continue to make these images. So, direct, just going against Yah in so many ways. And the king and all his servants in Terah, with all his household, were then the first of those that served gods of wood and stone. So they were the first. And Terah was one of them too. And that's why Abram became such a righteous man, because he was with Shem and Noah, learning the ways of Yah. So it's a good thing that Terah didn't raise Abram. It's a good thing that it was Shem and Noah that raised Abram. And Terah had 12 gods of large size. 12 would signify the number of months. So they was already working off some kind of weird calendar that, was given. Made of wood and stone after the 12 months of the year. There we have it. And he served each one monthly. And every month Terah would bring his meat offering and drink offering to his gods. Thus did Terah all the days. And Terah was serving these things, man. You would think that somebody like him, would have ancestry of Noah and Abram wouldn't do anything like that. But, here he is doing it. And all the generations were wicked in the sight of Yah, and they thus made every man his god, but they forsook Yah who had created them. And how you think that makes you feel, man? It's kind of like a father who has like a disobedient son. He nurtured him, taking care of him, and then all of a sudden he just strays away. And that's how your heavenly Father feels, man. You have emotions too. You're made in his image. He has feelings. He has grievances. And that's the way they forget all about Yah, man. And there was not a man found in those days in the whole earth who knew Yah. For they served each man his own Elohim, except Noah and his household. And the whole earth was corrupt. And all those who were under his counsel knew Yah in those days. And Abram the son of Terah was waxing great in those days in the house of Noah. And no man knew it. And Yah was with him. So he was getting mightier and mightier as the days went on, but nobody really took notice. And Yah gave Abram an understanding heart, and he knew all the works of that generation were vain, and that all their gods were vain and were of no avail. And that's the same heart I want Yah to touch me with. You know what I'm saying? That's the same heart you should want him to touch you with, because if you be a sheeple, you just gonna go with the flow of what society is giving you. You know what I'm saying? You're just gonna do, if it's in style, you're just gonna do what society says is in style, and you should go with this new age stuff, or do as your pastor says or whatever, instead of studying for yourself. And Abram saw the sun shining upon the earth, and Abram said unto himself, surely now this sun that shines upon the earth is God, and him will I serve. And Abram served the sun in that day, and he prayed to him. And when evening came, the sun is set as usual. And Abram said within himself, surely this cannot be the Most High. Kind of a mockery to Terah, because Abram knew who the Most High of the universe was. And Abram still continued to speak within himself, saying, who is he who made the heavens and the earth? Who created upon earth? Where is he? And night darkened over him, and he lifted up his eyes toward the west, north, south, and east, and he saw that the sun had vanished from the earth, and the day became dark. And Abram saw the stars and moon before him, and said, surely this is the Almighty who created the whole earth as well as man. And behold, these his servants are gods around him. And Abram served the moon and prayed to it all that night. And in the morning, when it was light and the sun shone upon the earth as usual, Abram saw all the things that Yah the Almighty had made upon earth. And Abram said unto himself, surely these are not gods that made the earth and all mankind, but these are the servants of the Almighty. And Abram remained in the house of Noah, and there knew Yah and his ways, and he served Yah all the days of his life. And all the generations forgot Yah, and served other gods of wood and stone, and rebelled all their days. And then this is when the Tower of Babel started being erected. So we go through Jasher 9 verse 20 through 20 through 39. The whole chapter 9 talks about that Tower of Babel. So, and then on to chapter 10 talks about the lineage of Noah and Japheth. And and that will take us through right there. Yep, and that will do it. Okay. All right. Well, hold on. Hold on. Okay, let's stop right there. Because this just continues on. Yeah, because there's a lot in chapter 11 and 12 that actually goes together. So we'll just stop right there. And we will do chapter 11 of Jasher on another video. Alright, man. Love you guys. Sorry that took so long. But, you know, as you can see, everything wasn't all, you know, just didn't go according to plan. There was a story behind this whole thing. And when I read the next one, you'll see that, you know, Terah, you know, Abram's father, Terah, wasn't, you know, he was a sellout, man. He was a big time sellout, man. All right, love you guys, man. I'm getting ready to go to bed. I'll get back with y'all tomorrow. Shalom.